Okay, Sergei Horev from Russia. Okay, time to play the French defense. He plays knight f3. And exchanges. So we'll get an exchange variation, I guess. If he plays d4, that would be the exchange variation. Yeah. So pretty normal position. Not the most interesting way to play against the French, but it should be satisfactory for white. I always like to try for a little more when I'm playing against the French, so I go for the win hour or the classical. Well, it's actually black's choice. You play knight to c3, and black can choose to pin it or to develop. Okay. He's just blocking the e file and defending his pawn. Very solid. And he puts his knight here. So I don't have to play c6 to keep the knight from coming to b5 because it's not going there. Maybe his idea is to put a knight here. So if that's the case, I'll just be careful to not push the h-pawn or try to avoid it. And then I can play f6 to kick the knight away. Or c5 to undermine the d-pawn. Might be an idea. Can I do that now? Knight to d7 and pawn to c5. He takes, I take with the bishop. Leaves me with an isolated queen's pawn, which he will train his bishop on, I guess. Let's get my bishop out. And let's prevent him from playing h3 since he didn't play that right away. I didn't prevent him from playing it. That's right. He can play it now. He can play it now. He hasn't castled yet. Let's see if I can manage to save this bishop somehow. It's the danger here is that bishop will get traded off for a knight. Maybe it's not a huge danger, but don't necessarily want to give up the bishop pair at this point. So if he kicks it again, though, it's where does it go? If it goes here, then he can take it with the knight. But then I'll get a good spot for my knight there. So maybe that's okay. Or I could retreat to g6. And then he could go knight here to round it up that way. So probably, if he kicks it, I will play bishop to e4. He still has this idea of knight to e5. Maybe I should put a rook on the e file, try and discourage that. Well, Sergei is thinking. He can't castle. Maybe that's what he's realizing. Because, well, he will lose this pawn if he castles. So he does go with that. Hits my queen. Let's attack the knight. It's not taking anything here or here, right? So he defends with the pawn. So now I can put the bishop here. And And he takes, I take, he takes, I take. I get a pawn there. We could start with the knight. Knight there, and then if he doesn't trade, I'll kick his knight with pawn to f6. If he does take, I'll take back. If he kicks my bishop, that's the problem. I'll take here. He takes my bishop, hitting my queen. That is a problem. So that means I have to start with this one, I guess. But at the end of all this, I'm going to play f6 and kick that knight away and then just try and defend that. Looks like I'll get an e-pawn there. Let's see, if he doesn't trade himself, I can take the bishop and then put the knight there anyway, and once again threaten f6. He's weakened his king side, but yeah, there we go. He's weakened his king side, but he doesn't have to castle. Now this g-pawn is hanging, though. So I kind of assumed he would just keep taking. He takes, I take. It's his move. He could try and put some pressure on that pawn, but he doesn't have a good bishop to do that with, and I can kick this knight back. Opening up the D file. Okay, so he goes that way. Let's kick the knight now. So that defended G3. Oh, that's his idea. Well, I can just step back with my queen. It's not vital that I be on that square. He's going to have to move that knight. He did open up the diagonal for his bishop. He was in danger of being left with a very bad bishop, so I guess that's a bit of an accomplishment for white. So the knight could go to g4. Where else could it go? Could go to d3. Those are only two squares. I hadn't decided what I would do if it went to g4. Let's see. It has what squares to go back to? It has f2 and h2. Yeah. I mean, I'll keep open this option of playing h5 and kicking it back, but I don't think doing it now is especially helpful. The problem is when it moves, it opened up this bishop onto g3, but then the queen takes here with check. So if I defend, he defends that. That's not going to end well for him either, is it? Well, let's see. I could take here with the bishop. That's check, and not take with the knight. Check. If he blocks with the bishop, then I can move this with the tempo. Yeah, on the queen, maybe. Double attack the queen. So he can't block with the bishop. He could block with the knight. I could take the knight. Yeah, I think I should just take that and see what he does. He can move his king, of course. Yep, it's always loosening to push your pawns forward. Gotta do that with care. So bishop back here, then knight to g5 check wins the queen, I think. The queen can block. It doesn't win the queen. So knight takes bishop check. Oh, he brought his king forward. Okay, he just moved his king. Why not? Okay, let's get another piece out. Bring the rook over behind the queen. So I'm wondering about the sacrifice here. I mean, knight takes d5. Knight takes d4, forks the king and the queen, so it has to be taken. Then this knight can move with a discovered attack on the king. Can even go here with a double check. But is that so devastating? The king just moves. And I'm not really attacking anything. Ah, but he defended the pawn with the pawn. Okay. So now I'm tempted to kick this knight. If he goes back here, I'll take. He takes, I take, he takes. Maybe try and get this knight into the game first. Or bring the rook over first. Ah, and he's piling up. Oh, he's also trying to add extra protection to f2. So if I kick the knight now and he goes back, and I take, he has to take with the rook because the bishop will be pinned. This is probably true before. If he goes back here, then the bishop is a bit loose, but not... Yeah, let's see if I can get the knight to this square. A little more pressure on that bishop. Knight to c4. You can play b3. But that will weaken the c-pawn. I can play knight takes c3. With check and also with an attack on the bishop here. Yeah. Okay, so I thought he couldn't really play this. Ah, if I take with the knight, he takes the bishop. He still takes here with check. Yeah, so this weakness on, my weakness on d5 is still a bit annoying. Oh. He really doesn't want to, he really doesn't want to move that bishop and allow that discovered check. I think he got counterplay by taking on d5, so I think maybe that's okay for him. Now let's take here. Now I can take the rook with check. And then just defend this pawn. And I should be okay. I'm up the exchange and I'm up a pawn. He's pretty solid here. How do I break through? Yeah, it looks like I need to triple my rooks or something like that. It's a little bit hard to do. I'll at least double them. If you can't triple them, at least double them. He's got control of these squares with his pawns and his bishop. And so when he pushes, I'm going to push. And he's going to take. Let's block it then. We'll just blockade there. And I'll get my pawns lined up here, my rooks lined up rather, so I can play here and give up the 2 rooks for the queen. I'll have queen against rook and bishop. Which is technically a slight decline in the material here, in my material advantage, but queen is still stronger than rook and bishop. Okay, so he declined. That means, though, that I can triple. And I think he will have trouble guarding all of his squares. So it looks like he's lining up here to do a fork, or to take advantage of the pin here, rather. So check here is not working. Rook here, check, rook takes. Maybe it is working. Rook here, check. Rook takes, queen takes, check. Queen takes, rook takes. No, it's not working. What I want to do is this, so that I can check on e2 here. Isn't that mate? It is mate. Yep, he was going for this this tactic, the pin there and there, but he wasn't. Didn't pay attention to what I could do. I don't know if he could do anything about that anyway. Well, I will upload this and we will check it out in the postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.